Good afternoon, everybody. Please continue eating. We're going to go ahead and get started here today. I am still toweling off from Saturday night's game. Quite a thriller, and I decided when I went home late Saturday night, I really had to think about it and evaluate it. And I think, without question, one of the most exciting games we've ever had in the Stotts Center. And when you think about how close the game was, and frankly, the Thursday night game was just as close for 40 minutes, but as close as that game was, neither team led by more than 4 or 5 points the entire game until Montana got that little edge late in the game. And the way we came back, not me, these guys came back that last 3.5 minutes from 9 points down to tie the game, to get to overtime, to have all kinds of different people make big contributions. Brandon Cataldo tipped in a shot that sent the game to a second overtime. Marcus Hall shot the ball. In fact, I think Tyler's going to take credit for shooting practice last week, because Marcus Hall shot the ball as well as anybody has shot the ball at Portland State over the course of 2 games. He helped get the team to overtime. And, of course, Gary Winston scored all 9 points in that third overtime and hit the big winner. But what an exciting night, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. A few quick updates for everyone. Believe it or not, the track and field teams are starting this weekend. Indoor track meet at the University of Washington. So they're getting things underway, coming off a very successful season last year. The women finishing very high in the conference championship race and actually threatening to win the conference championship there in the spring. But they begin this weekend at the University of Washington. The golf team begins practice today. Softball team has already got practice underway. Men's tennis plays at the University of Oregon on Friday. So even though we're focusing on basketball right now in January, a lot of things really going on and a lot of excitement in all those programs. Women's basketball, as you can see, Sherry Merle is not here today. She is recruiting today, so she was not able to make it. Women's basketball team, though, will play at home this week, and we hope to see you all out there Thursday night against Sacramento State, 7 o'clock, and then Saturday at 2 p.m. against Northern Arizona. And if you can't make the games, obviously you can go to GoVikes.com, live video, live audio. The great Terry Mariani on the audio, she's here today, and all the live stats as well. So very easy to follow the Vikings. But let's get right on to men's basketball. And I was talking about several individuals who made big contributions, in addition to Gary Winston hitting that game-winning shot. Another guy who's made quiet contributions all year is here today, and I'm very happy that he's here because, during the football season we kind of talked about those unsung players. We had a few special teams players that came in after making some big plays. Well, this is kind of an unsung player. He's not out there shooting three-pointers. He doesn't average 20 points a game, but he's doing all the dirty work for the Vikings this year. He started every game this season, and that's Kyle Richardson. Kyle comes to Portland State. He played 3 seasons at Long Beach State. He got his degree in communication studies, had 1 year of eligibility left, decided to transfer to Portland State. He's currently in a graduate program. Probably a little bit of the influence of getting him here, a former teammate of Tim Douglas in high school. He's a former teammate of Charles Odom in high school too, I believe. So he had a little bit of a connection there. And so that helped get him to Portland State, and we're really glad he's here because he started all 13 games for the Vikings. He's been an excellent defender. He rebounds. He scores points when they're there for him, and he sets all those screens and does the things that are getting a lot of those guys open to hit the three-pointers and score the points. But that's a little bit about Kyle. From Lakewood, California, I'm going to introduce him here to you. He'll say a few words, and if you have a few questions, please feel free to ask. But here is Kyle Richardson.
I was told to talk about myself, but he pretty much told everything about me. I'm from California. I went to Mayfair High School with Tim and Charles Odom. Graduated from Long Beach State with a degree in communications, and now I'm doing my master's program in communications. I'm not too familiar with the Big Sky, but there's a lot of good teams in here, and I'm excited to play in every game and hopefully get more wins, and also hopefully not all going to 3 overtimes. So that would be good. And I'm looking forward to our road trip this coming up. I think we leave Wednesday to go play Sacramento State and Northern Arizona. So hopefully we can get 2 road games, win there, and then Big Sky tournament, looking to go there too. So should be a even better season. So I'm excited.
Kyle, why don't you say a few words? Obviously, we're playing a lot of guards, and you're the only big guy out there when we started out. Talk about maybe does that put a little additional pressure on you in terms of being a physical player and playing inside against taller teams, and how are you dealing with that situation?
It's fine to me. It's not really more pressure. I really don't mind playing against bigger guys. I've played against them all my life, and the Big Sky, they're not. Pretty much all 7-footers were around the same height, so I might have to box out a little more and let the guards come in for rebounds, but team player, so I can do that. Don't mind.
How are you adjusting to Oregon compared to California?
A little more rain. Yeah. Everyone told me that it rained a lot more, but it hasn't rained that much. It's usually just wet, and I guess it rains a lot throughout the night when I'm asleep. So far it's okay, and it's kind of hot today, little like California, so that's okay.
Well, at least basketball's inside tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty about basketball. I don't have to play outside anymore.
What specifically are you looking for a career? To be in announcing, or is it going to be in communication in some other way?
I'm not sure yet. It could be in announcing, but yeah, I'll have to finish my master's degree and see what I can get into. But still play basketball as long as I can before I start getting into anything else.
Is that a 1-year program or a 2-year program?
2-year program.
And again, if you have a moment when we're done here, feel free to come up and say hi to Kyle and chat with him a little bit. The best part, and I say this with the coach about to come up here, but the best part about our program is the student athletes. But I do like this guy right here an awful lot, Tyler. And the reason why, I'll tell you why. If you were probably jumping up and down and cheering for Gary Winston and watching the players run around on the floor, those closing seconds, I had my eyes on this guy. And when the shot went through and everybody went crazy and Montana tried to inbounds the ball and the time ran out, the horn finally sounds, he got off the ground for the first time since his college days. We were estimating he was something about this high in the air, threw his arms in the air, and it was a great win. Obviously, great win for the program, but a great win for Coach Geving as well, knocking off the defending Big Sky champions. And my point is I like a coach who enjoys the victories, because I've seen lots of coaches agonize in the defeats and kind of grumble over the victories a little bit sometimes. Tyler enjoys the victories, and we all need to enjoy the victories, because you never know when the next one's coming. We're expecting the next one coming real soon. But with that said, Portland State at Sacramento State Thursday night, 7 p.m. You can also catch that at GoVikes.com, live audio, live video. Saturday, they play in the afternoon up against the women's game at 2 p.m. at Northern Arizona. And I'm also told that depending on what kind of cable or satellite systems you have, that game will be on Fox Sports Arizona, Fox College Sports, and one other Fox I can't think of at the moment, but there's 3 of them. It'll be on GoVikes.com, the information for that, so you might be able to see it on television as well. With all that said, I'd like to introduce head coach Tyler Geving.
Thank you. I'd like to bring Kyle up a little bit more. You guys get up here, they're very humble, but going into last year, obviously we lost, Renato Parker, and he was kind of our inside scoring threat, and Nate Lozow, and that was something we really had to fill the void at the center position. And as you go out and recruit, it is hard, very hard to find 6'7" guys and above to get to go to the Big Sky level, because it almost seems like if you're 6'7" and above, you can walk and chew gum or do whatever. I mean, you end up in the Pac-12, you're in the Mountain West, and as you look around our league, there's not a lot of quality big guys that are 6'10", 6'11". You just don't find them, and they're hard to come by. So we were fortunate. Kyle played at Long Beach State and got his degree, and I think he wanted an opportunity to play a few more minutes than what he'd been playing at Long Beach State. And we remember him from high school, and obviously the connection with Tim and Charles, and obviously having his degree. He's a phenomenal kid, great person, great teammate. The other thing we like about Kyle is I can depend on Kyle every single day. I know he's going to show up to practice every single day. I know he's going to have a good attitude every single day. And those are pretty good traits to start with. As far as defensively, he's when we do scouting reports or we talk about what the other team's going to run, I mean, he's one of our smartest guys in understanding, hey, here's what the team's doing. He's probably our best talker on defense. In fact, sometimes I think he's the only guy that talks at practice, right? And you probably agree with that. But there's just a lot of little things that Kyle does that don't necessarily show up in the box score. Like Mike said, he's not a 20-point-a-night guy. He's not a 10-rebound-a-night guy. But trust me, he's very valuable to what we're doing. And when you have a guy in there at his size that can defend the other team's bigs, and against Montana State, 10.6 rebounds and a nice little spin move and a dunk that he had. He's starting to come into his own offensively. And I thought we did a poor job Saturday night. Both teams were kind of zoning, and I thought we did kind of a poor job of getting the ball inside to whether it was to him or Brandon, and we kind of were too perimeter oriented that game. Everything was just kind of around the perimeter. In fact, we talked today as a staff that, boy, we got to get more inside touches. Now, that doesn't mean those guys have to shoot it every time, but we need to get the ball inside a little bit more. So that's something we need to emphasize, because he's a capable scorer down there. But it's just nice having a guy that's 23 years old that has his college degree, that's dependable, valuable. It's trust. Those are good traits to have on a team. So we're definitely excited to have him, and hopefully he continues to do what he's been doing down the stretch, and I think it'll help us. So. As far as this weekend goes, Thursday, I thought that was a tough one. I thought that was a game that could have gone either way, and there was that stretch there for about a 5-minute period. I don't think either team got a stop defensively. It was we scored, they scored, we scored. It just went back and forth, and probably kicking myself a little bit. Probably should have played a little bit more zone. Because we just weren't getting stops in our man-to-man defense. I probably should have switched it up a little bit earlier, but you also want to take a little bit more pride in what you're trying to do on the defensive end of stop guys, stop them. But unfortunately, we just didn't do that, and they ended up getting a few more stops than we did. But with that all said, I mean, even it was right down to the last possession of that game, and I think that's something you're going to see in the Big Sky. I think, you look around the scoreboard and in the league, and every game's coming down to the last 2 or 3 minutes. So, I was a little worried Saturday kind of going into the game. That was a tough loss Thursday, and, kind of how were we going to bounce back from that? And, I thought the first half of the Montana game, I thought we controlled the whole first half. I thought we gave them 2 baskets there at the end. We didn't get 2. They got 2 offensive rebounds, a kickback 3. I think they got another one and an and 1. We gave them 6 points right at the end of the half. We were up 7 to make it a 1-point game. And I thought they controlled most of the second half. I thought Montana did. And then credit to our kids, that last 3 minutes, Marcus Hall hit a big shot. Tim hit one. I don't know who hit the other, but, we actually ended up taking the lead, too, in regulation. And then to get into those overtimes, those will take a few years off your life when you're coaching, trust me. So, but, even in that, the second overtime shoot, we get up 7, and credit to Montana. They made the plays that we did at the end of regulation and actually had a chance to win it at the end of the second overtime. And then the third overtime was, that was back and forth. And then for Gary Winston to hit that shot at the end was huge for us. So, some things that stood out in that game was Brandon Cataldo. Kyle fouled out. and we just played zone with him in the last 15 minutes. And kind of as you watch the video, as I go back the next day, I kind of watch it, and Brandon altered about 2 or 3 shots, and he altered Jamar's shot at the end when it was tied. He shot it and is about ready, as he was ready to shoot it, he kind of double clutched, and he ended up being short on it. But Brandon was like this, and a couple times I saw their guard driving there. He was ready to shoot, and Brandon kind of slides over. And when you have a 6'11" guy in there like that can protect the rim at times, I thought he was very effective in our zone defense. So, and then he had a great tip in to send it into the second overtime. Gary made a nice pass to him in the overtime as well, and he scored it. So that was huge for him. I thought he played well. I thought Marcus Hall. I thought Marcus was phenomenal this weekend. With losing Aaron, we're small. And we're telling Marcus, you got to play the 4. You've got to guard a bigger guy. You need to rebound more. You need to, and never complains. It works hard, and probably one of our toughest guys on the team. And he's a competitor, and doesn't complain about it. Some guys would be, man, I got to play that position, and that's not what my normal position is. But never heard him once say anything about it or complain about it. Which is great from a coach because he's bought in to what we're doing. So phenomenal shooting. I don't know what 5 3-pointers. I know the Thursday night 10 for 13 in 2 games from the 3-point line. So and the reverse side is 6'7" guys got to come guard him on the perimeter. So he's getting some more wide open looks from the perimeter, and he knocked them down this weekend and played really well. So, and then proud of Gary Winston. He's kind of had a tough year, kind of up and down. And I think over the last week, I think he's really grown up and matured a lot over the last week, and played well at Weber. And then he was disappointed on how he played Thursday, but I thought he bounced back Saturday. And we kind of ran that play for him at the end, and it was open. And I think everybody thought, as soon as he let go, I knew it was in. I was like, we got to end this thing. I can't sit here for 5 more minutes. But kind of reminded me, I think it was about 5 years ago, we played at Northern Arizona. If anybody remembers that, we were down about 16 or 18 at the half, and we ended up winning in 4 overtimes down there in Flagstaff. So it was, I was like, I can't handle another one. So these are... And those are big games. Hopefully we need to, kind of take the momentum from this game, have a good week of practice. We need to go on the road. We need to learn to win on the road. We've got to be a little bit tougher. We've got to defend better. We've got to value the ball better. We've got to just do a little bit better on the road. But hopefully something like this, a game like this, can kind of give us a little momentum heading into the road, because you can lose those, and that can cause some confidence and defeat you a little bit. Kind of remember last year losing the Weber State game right before Christmas. Game we had opportunities to win, and you don't win those, and you lose in overtime, and you gotta sit on them, and it's hard to sit on them for a while. So I was definitely happy we were on the other end of that the other night. So questions? Yeah.
What did you think about that play, that 6'5" forward, Julius Thomas? What about him?
I only watched a little bit of it yesterday, to be honest with you. I saw his first catch in the fumble, so I wasn't too happy with that. But yeah, he did pretty well yesterday. What do you have, 6 catches or whatever? So he's pretty fun to watch. Yeah. So really happy for him, and it should be a fun game next week. Them and the Colts or Patriots. That should be fun. Yeah. Yeah.
I need to start with a confession. 7.7-second overtime. I leaned back 3 inches, kind of relaxed.
So did I.
That's kind of like the catches your way at the top of the set.
Yeah.
A little early on that one. Hey, Tyler, I'm curious. It looks like a lot of suits sitting on that bench. How do you divide responsibilities amongst your assistants? Do they have specific like practice things that they're accountable for?
I would say Jeff Hironaka is in charge of everything. He's kind of my right. If I had to say, my right-hand man as far as, hey, what are we doing today at practice? What do you think of this? I mean, if you see me during the game, I'm constantly. I can't hear, I don't do well with 5 different voices telling me we got to do this, this, and this. And I always kind of tell the assistants, if you have something to say it to Jeff. So I'm only hearing kind of one voice during the game. And I think Kyle would attest to. He's probably, and I've said it a million times, I think he's one of the brightest basketball minds I've ever really been around. And he's very sharp. And I think it's helped our team in a lot of ways. During timeouts, I feel like I can let him talk, and his message is as good as mine, and at practice he's involved in every aspect of it, and he lives and dies and he breathes basketball. That's what he does, and he's I think the kids love him, respect him, and so that part of it, he kind of just a little bit of everything. Anthony, I kind of have sit by the players. I kind of always have him try and make sure it's hard when a kid comes out of the game. I don't have time to tell him, this is why I'm taking you out. Here's why, or what you did well, what you didn't do well. And so I kind of use Anthony as making sure the bench is into the game, making sure guys that are kind of in tune, so when they go into the game, they know what's going on. And then Jace, kind of the same thing. He's kind of more defensive oriented, so he's kind of making suggestions to Jeff as far as what we're doing defensively, and that's kind of what he does at practice. So, that with the bigs, Anthony and I work with the bigs at practice, and then Jeff and Jace work with the guards. So we got it split up. Yeah, and I love our staff. I love being around them. It's a good group. You go into the office and everybody gets along, and I think that's important to the players, that the players see that, because if they see you're not getting along, or they see friction between the coaches, it trickles down. And I think Kyle would agree. I don't think there's ever been a hint of that, or no one questioning anything or backstabbing or anything. And that stuff's important for your culture of a program.
I've never been through your facilities, locker rooms, etc. But do you have the kind of facilities in Florida State that help you in recruiting?
I think with the new arena, we will. It's hard. I mean, it is what it is. When you bring high school kids in, I mean, there's a difference when you go to Montana and there's 7,000 seats, and luxury boxes, or Weber State, there's 12,000 people. I mean, we get it. It is what it is. But I think the other night, and a couple of you guys said it, you've been here for a lot of games, when the Stott Center has a good crowd, and it was loud during some of those free throws, and I agree. I think that was the loudest I've ever heard it in the 9 years I've been here. So I think it's a great home court advantage, and if we can get more students to show up at the game, I think that's something we've lacked a little bit. I wish we could get somehow get more kind of a student section cheering and ranting and raving or doing whatever. I think that it would make it an even better atmosphere. But I like the Stott Center. Like I said, I think it could be a great home court advantage. But I'll also like when we get a new arena too. I think it'll definitely help us. That's for sure in recruiting. Yeah. But we got a good challenge this week. Sacramento State's very similar to us. Speaking of gyms or whatever, kind of little cracker boxes, and it can get loud in there, and it can be a tough place to play. So, and then we've got to turn around and then fly to Phoenix and bus up the Flagstaff and play at 7,000 feet, which is always a challenge. I always feel like about the first 10 minutes of that game is probably the biggest challenge, of just kind of catching your wind and playing through the altitude and the elevation.
Claire, the league is pretty even right now.
Real even.
Who do you think you're going to really have to compete against to get to this?
Yeah, I think pretty impressed with what Northern Colorado has done already. I mean, their first 4 league games were at home, so they had a great schedule to start. But they beat Weber State by 20 at home, and that's pretty impressive. And then the next night they beat Weber State by 20, and then they kind of struggled a little bit with Idaho State. That was 3-point game with I think a minute left. So it's Montana State led the whole second half at Eastern until about the last. I was kind of following it. It was an afternoon game, but I think until about the last minute and a half, Eastern took the lead and ended up winning. But so it's crazy. Northern Arizona won at Montana this year, so it's going to be a challenge night in and night out. That's for sure.
Harry have some health issues?
Yeah, he had he was hurt kind of all year last year, and doctors never really could find it. I mean, other than just pulled groin or something like that, or it was just wasn't right, but kind of played through it. And then at the end of the year, found out he had a sports hernia. So then it wasn't getting any better. Well, then they did another MRI, and he ended up having a stress fracture in his pelvis. So then he had to wait. We didn't find that out till June. He was supposed to have surgery, so it was kind of misdiagnosed a little bit. So then he had to wait 3 months for the stress fracture to go away before he could have the hernia surgery. So he ended up not having the hernia surgery until right about the time, like the week before school started. And then that ended up being, it's about a 6 to 8 week recovery. So by the time he got back, it was right when we first had our tournament. So, it was a tough time for him. He was basically shut down from, I don't know, probably April to November. He couldn't really do anything. So, it was hard on him. It was, and he's kind of had to battle through some of that, and now he's back. But,
this week he looked like he was ready to play again.
Yeah, he was, and I thought at Weber State he was ready to, and I think we need him. He's a very talented player, very talented, and led the league in shooting last year, so we know what he can do.
I like the way the description that I've seen that your team is 4 guards and a goalie.
Is that right? Yeah. No, we definitely need him and Brandon to stay in the games, or we really go small. So, even a kid like Alex Foster, who's a walk-on that hasn't played much. All of a sudden we sub Marcus out. Alex has to play the 4 at times, and happy for him, doesn't complain, and good kid, and winner, and gives us good minutes, and we'll do whatever we ask. So it's been fun. I think they're a fun group to coach. It's good team chemistry, and don't really have a lot of issues with them, which is good. Makes my job easier, that's for sure. Other than that, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, while I'm thinking about it, the name Julius Thomas came up because I know Tyler's a big Broncos fan. He doesn't even know it yet, but I just got an email today from Fox Sports. And, well, first of all, if you just Google, and I know you're all computer-strong folks in here, if you just Google Julius Thomas, there have been a remarkable number of national stories written about him. In fact, just this past week, Sports Illustrated did a phenomenal story on him. So if you got on your computer, you could pull that up pretty easily. But great story. And anyway, Fox Sports contacted me today, and they're trying to put together a huge feature for next week's AFC Championship game on Julius as soon as they get his approval, and I think they will. They want to talk to this guy. I said, well, you better get him tomorrow because he's heading out of town, and also maybe Coach Burton. But they were planning on running that in the AFC Championship, and if they get to the Super Bowl, expand on it and run it in their Super Bowl coverage. So that's pretty exciting. All right. Once again, women's basketball Thursday night at the Stott Center. Men will be on the road. You can check them out at GoVikes.com. Go Vikes. We'll see you next Monday.